Hi everyone, welcome to Learn with Sawgrass. I'm Rhonda, the Education Manager here at Sawgrass, and we're so glad to have you for our Tuesday afternoon live. We are live with you here on YouTube, both Tuesday afternoons at 3 p.m. and Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. and of course that is Eastern time zone. So please join us live or watch our recordings. If you are live, Rhodes is in the chat and is here to answer any questions you may have. I am so excited about today and tomorrow and what we're going to be doing with you because this Christmas in July, preparing for the holiday season, is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And so I'm really excited that we can bring that to you this year. So this week, we're going to talk specifically about products you can make if you have a Sawgrass printer. And today, I think everything we're doing today is going to be with VersaFlex. So this is if you have a VersaFlex system. So that is going to be a Sawgrass printer with the VersaFlex ink. I'm really excited about this holiday season, seeing what you new VersaFlex users are going to be making because there's some really great products. Now tomorrow our ornaments are going to be pretty evenly split. We do have a lot that we are doing with traditional sublimation, and then we have the ones that we're doing with the VersaFlex light paper. So that's going to be a really great one because you really can do both with that VersaFlex system, but then there's some great sublimation projects in there if you have the Sublijet UHT ink as well. So today we're going to talk about holiday decor. I really think that there's some great things that have been opened up to us with the VersaFlex. So just as a reminder, our VersaFlex ink is used in an SG500 or SG1000. It does have to be a brand new system. You cannot convert an existing system. But with that printer, if you have the TruePix paper in there or your sublimation transfer paper in there, you can do your traditional sublimation like you've always done on those polyester coated products. But when you put in the VersaFlex light paper, now you can go on to cotton, linen, all of those non-polyester fabrics, including those blends, and then you can go on to uncoated products. So my personal favorite is wood, but you can do unglazed ceramics as well. So today is going to be a pretty VersaFlex heavy day, but I think you're really going to like some of the projects that we have. So I have been busy today. In about an hour and a half, I made everything you're going to see. And we're going to do another couple of projects while we're here today together. But let me show you what I've been up to. So this is a linen table runner. It's a little short one, would look really great in the middle of this table with my computer on it. Just to kind of go through how I took out a Christmas tree. Let me show you how I did this. So I did do it in 3 segments. So this is 3 8.5 by 11s. I did start on one side. I use my pressing pillow a lot, and when I go over to the press in a little bit, I'll show you that. And the reason I use my pressing pillow was I was a little nervous about this seam. So you see that the edge is kind of folded over and is higher than the middle. So I did put a pressing pillow on there to kind of help even that out. And so this was kind of pushed down and this was pushed up when it pressed. So I did do the 2 sides first. And then I came in and did the middle. Only when I did the middle did a little bit of the original sides get into the press, but no issue there. It wasn't too much. It worked perfectly fine for that. And you see this is a really great press and just great. Now all of these designs, and now I'm going to take out another Christmas tree. All of these designs are in the My Sawgrass design tool. They are premium artwork, so you would have to have that My Sawgrass Plus subscription to use them. I think they all had backgrounds on them. I did take the backgrounds off. I'll show you that when we get into the tool, just because going on to the fabric, I really wanted the fabric instead of kind of that solid behind it, knowing that it wasn't going to fill the whole area. With this one, these snowflakes and these wind, these were actually pretty close to the color of the material. So I went in and changed that kind of to a light blue, knowing it would still have that kind of vintage look. So that was, I think it was my first project, maybe my second project, because my first were these great stockings that we made. It's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about as we get into the holiday season, is that now we have a whole range of stockings that we can make. This is a burlap with a linen top. You actually could go in and do the same thing. I could put a design down here on the burlap too, but I really just left it plain with the name and the design up top. Again, right out of the My Sawgrass design tool, some of that premium artwork. Took a background off on this. There was another little name piece at the bottom that I took off. So when you see this, it's going to look a little bit different in the tool. But I was able to find that. I thought it looked great. Everything kind of has that traditional holiday feel. So I really loved these. I thought they were really great. I did attempt a different blanket. And this is where VersaFlex is a learning curve, even for us. You're never really sure how the material is going to work. And this was a very fluffy knit blanket, a lot fluffier than I was expecting. So it did not work at all. But that is okay, because I did find this nice fleece blanket that we had, and we're able to put the design on it. So I really like the way that looks. Now, I did mention I use my pressing pillows a lot. I did use the pressing pillow on these as well. Well, a little bit different one. I used a piece of foam to go inside just to kind of balance that out, because you never know when there's a seam or anything that's uneven if it's going to affect the press. So I'd always rather be on the side of being safe. So yeah, did that. There were 5 in the pack that I got. So we have a few more that we can add during the holiday season, but I really love those. And then finally, this was the one I was extremely nervous about. And it is this great pillow. Now, the reason I was nervous was because I knew that these little puff balls were going to get inside, and I wasn't sure how that was going to affect the press. So what I actually did with this one was I used a smaller pressing pillow. I had one that was an 8x8. Put this inside. Of course, it wasn't stuffed yet, but I put the 8x8 inside. Well, a little bit bigger than 8x8, like about a 9x9, and then did an 8x8 design on a custom canvas in the design tool. Again, some of the great Christmas designs we have. Now, we haven't added our new stuff for this year. We will be adding some more. But even if you go back and look at some of our old designs, we have some really great stuff. This one actually said something different at the bottom. Went in, changed the font, changed the text, added something I liked. But I really, really love this pillow. Great addition to your holiday decor. All right, Rhodes, we have a comment or a question.
We do have a question here. One Bondi is asking, can you sublimate on top of fabric paint?
Can you sublimate on top of fabric paint? No, because sublimation has to be that polyester. So you're kind of taking that away with the paint. Generally, the paint isn't going to have the qualities that it is going to do that sublimation process with. So then the next question would be, can you VersaFlex on it? And I'm not 100%, because the big thing with anything with VersaFlex is that it is porous. The fabric would be porous, but I don't know if that is changed in any way by the fabric paints. That's something we would have to test. My general gut feeling is once the paint's on there, you cannot sublimate or use VersaFlex on it. Just because I do think from all the fabric paints I can think of, they're pretty slick, and I don't know that it would bond with that. So I would probably say sublimate it or VersaFlex it and then use your fabric paint around that would be my general guess. But I will run this by our R&D team and get an answer. I'll put it in the YouTube community if I am wrong, and you can do that.
Perfect, thank you.
Was there another question or something?
No other questions as of now.
Awesome. All right. So whether you are making things for your own home, making things to give as gifts, making things to sell, I hope these are kind of giving you some ideas of the wide range of products that you can go on to as we go into this holiday season. All right, so I am going to go ahead and jump into my Sawgrass. And we're going to make a couple of other things for this tablescape. So we have this lovely table runner. We're going to make a coaster out of wood. And then we are also going to make a napkin. So we'll start with the napkin. So this is really cool. Whether you're making to sell, whether you are making for an event planner or you are an event planner, it's just a really great way for someone to kind of customize, personalize their tablescape and make it their own. You can go a couple of ways with this particular design. It's one of my favorites for that reason. I'm not going to make this very big. I'm going to make it fit kind of within a 4x4 area. And I'm going to go into our designs. You know how much I love the filter, so we are going to use that filter tool and go down to our Christmas. Now, one of the things I love about the Christmas designs we have is they really do cover a wide range of styles. Whether you're someone who loves a more modern Christmas look or whether you love that more vintage traditional look, there's something in here for everybody. And I am going to go down. We have some really great wreaths. We just passed one of them. This is the one I'm going to use today. So you really can do this one of two ways. So this could be something where you're making it for your table, for your family. And so you're making this with your family last name. You also, if you were holding a dinner party, this is something that you could personalize for everyone to take with them. So I probably would say you could do this kind of with those initials and let them have it, or this could just be kind of for your home. But it's a really cool design. All right, so easy to change a name. You also could change a font. Of course, the other thing you could do is you could go in here and you could click on this and you could change that color. Now, one of the things that to me is kind of like something that comes very easy to me is changing that color. Just going in and clicking on that, changing that hex code. I did this earlier with some of the designs, kind of go in and guess what colors I think would work. I did it actually, we did it with the table runner because I did it with the, see, I'm going to take out a tree again. I did it with the snowflakes. So I just went in and kind of guessed. I clicked into what I knew would be the lighter blues. And so I just clicked in there, and then I know kind of how to click around and find a color that works. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, an easy way to do this is to just open up Google and put in blues that work well with Christmas. I know that's a weird search, but it's going to pull up some hex codes for you. So normally that's exactly what I search. Hex codes for Barbie pink. Hex codes for Christmas reds. Whatever it may be, I'll pull those hex codes and put those in here if I don't do that system. So let me show you what I did. So I just clicked right in the middle into these blues, and then I went down towards the top. So I went to the left at the top because I know that's going to be a lighter shade of the color. So that's kind of where I went for that. I'm going to cancel that because I don't need to do that for my G. But just to kind of show you, don't ever feel that you can't find the color. Another thing you can always do is take the shapes, make some squares, put them on the page, press them out, or print them out, press them onto just some fabric that you have and look at it. That'll kind of help you. I'll usually type out the hex codes underneath. Just to kind of start getting used to that. I've been working with color long enough that to me it's a feel thing. I don't feel nervous doing it, but I know some people do. So that's kind of an easy way to do that. Another thing I could have done is I could have pulled up my star from my bell design, clicked on it, it would have told me the hex code. I could have copied it, and then when I opened up my sleigh design, just made my stars that color, so that it kind of matched the design. So there are lots of ways around that. If you're not sure how to pick colors, if we don't have a quick tip coming up soon, I'll make sure we do, because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with.
We do have a question about color. Somebody is asking, is there a color picker in the design tool?
There is not a color picker per se. So what I was saying about the stars, let's say the G was the star. If I click on it, it's going to give me the color so that I can change it. So I could click on it and there's my hex code. Just copy it, paste it, copy it, put in a document, and then you have it. Same thing. This is watercolor, so I'm not sure if it's going to allow me to change the colors. It won't, but sometimes you can do that too. I know we don't have a color picker. Not an easy ad is going to be the easiest way to tell you this. So it's something that I would love to see, and I'm not saying we'll never get it, but it isn't something that we can quickly or easily add to the software. So that's why you're not seeing that, but we do hope to do it one day. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit print on this. Let that go on over to my Sawgrass print utility program. First, I'm going to get that message of whether I want to print or do approve. So that is going. I'm going to go ahead and hit my print button. Now, the next screen that you're going to see is very important. This is where it is telling it's kind of like Zoom. It does the same thing. It asks your permission to open the application. If you're not getting this box, that means that you have a pop-up blocker. So you would need to disable that so you can send that over to the print utility. Yeah, as you can see from my recents, I have been printing quite a bit today. Okay, so while that's opening, I'm going to go set up my press. Now, I did mention this earlier. This is my main pressing pillow. I do have several sizes, so I think I've probably used them all today. But the pressing pillows do come in really handy, just to kind of even out anything that isn't completely flat. I also do have some silicone pads down here. That's technically what I used in that stocking. I used one of my silicone pads. All right, so this is my napkin. A little fluff on it. I have found that the easiest thing for me if I'm putting something in the corner is to go ahead and do it just that way. So I'm going to go ahead and have that corner towards me, have everything nice and centered so I know that it's the exact where I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and check my press and pre-press it all at the same time. That is nowhere near low enough. So we'll go ahead and tighten that pressure. Like I said, I've been using those pressing pillows today. So have to kind of, I was compensating for that. Okay, that's a nice high pressure. You see there's a good amount of resistance when I go to press that down. And watch it again when I actually do the press. But you can see how much resistance I'm getting off of that. Okay, that's set and ready to go. No print. All right. Portrait is fine. I'm going to leave the adjust for light colors on there because of the greens, just to make sure they show up. Don't really need to center this. I could leave this on cotton or switch it down to these natural fabrics. Either way on this one. Everything else is set correctly. I am going to go ahead and go in and do vivid. I do want to have this a little more saturated on that design. And then I'll hit print. That's going to print out for me. My pillow is out for a little ride today. Okay, so I'm pretty confident with this. I don't really need to trim any extra off. I know where this is going to go, so I'm not too worried. I'm just going to bring that over. Now, one of the things I hear people ask a lot about is the fact that you can't reposition. So what I often do is I will put my hands down on the bottom of the press. It's not too hot, it's not too warm. I'm going to position this exactly where I want it, and then I'll just drop it down. So you're really just doing that positioning before you place it. So I really feel I don't really have any issues with that. It works out pretty well for me. All right. Now we just wait. Now, I do have this set at our recommendation. It is the 275 at 30 seconds that I have this set for. Now, if you haven't yet, please check out our podcast, Ink Differently. I've been very proud of the first 2 episodes that have dropped, and we have another one coming out this week with Mike Kohler, who is a part of he's one of our R&D chemists as well. So he's got some really great tips around the whole thing about how to adjust and when to adjust. So please check that out. It should be dropping on Friday. All right, let's go ahead and peel this up. Oh, look at that. Check that out. Isn't that adorable? What a great little addition to the Christmas table. All right. I'm proud of this. I'll go ahead and hang this over here for now. Look at that. I love it. Okay. I do want to, before we go too far, I want to show you something that I was talking about earlier. So we're going to go into the designs, filter down to our Christmas designs. I want to show you with any of these, because this is the ones kind of we were working with. So here is this great Santa design. And you're going to notice that it has a background on it. So the background is covering the whole area, not something that works with what I was trying to do. So I'm actually going to go up here. You see this little trash can? You can delete it. Now, you also could change it. So if you wanted to keep it, but you just wanted it to be a different color, you can come in, use that color theory we were talking about a minute ago. But I'm actually going to hit, I'm going to go ahead and delete this because it's not something I need. And then I would have this great design that I could use. All right.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Maggie has a good question here.
All
We've
right.
talked about this in the past, but what's the benefit of like a post press after you're done with your product?
Yeah.
Going back and doing another press. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I didn't do it today because I was in a hurry. It's also table linen that probably wouldn't get used a lot. But generally, I do recommend that you do both a pre-press and a post-press. So the pre-press is going to be that 5 to 10 seconds to get any moisture out of the fabric. And then that post-press, what that does, we call it a finishing press a lot of the times, is just 5 to 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be at super high pressure. But what that's going to do is it's just going to kind of finish that design, help flatten out anything that needs to be flattened out, and just kind of do that. Now, the pre-press and the post-press are only on fabric. We're not going to do that on our next project, which is going to be wood. I will put it in there, you'll see, with the heat on to kind of get the depth, the pressure set. But that's just a quick. I often worry with wood that too much heat's going to warp it, so you don't really want to do that pre-press. You really don't have to. Typically, the moisture isn't as much of an issue, and even just adjusting the press within it should be enough to get anything out. All right. So I'm going to go to my favorite of our Christmas designs. You get to see it on my blanket over here, but there are some others in there that are really, really great. So I've already used my wagon today, so I'm actually going to use my pickup truck. And like I said, this is going to be a coaster. I would definitely see this coaster as being something that you're going to be giving to everyone who's at your party. So there is that pickup truck, and then I'm just going to go underneath. All right. Now I'm going to do Merry Christmas 2025. You could, of course, do Christmas 2025 on this. I'm going to show you another way you can make this really cute. So I'm going to go into my fonts. Now, you know my favorite feature in the design tool is the filter. And nowhere do I love that more than right here in fonts, because I think for this needs to be a serif. It needs to be something with some feet. I'm not really worried about anything else. It doesn't really have to be too blocky. So I'm just going to hit apply, and now I'm looking specifically at my serif fonts. And I can find one. I am a huge fan of these typewriter type fonts, especially for anything that's more of the traditional or the old-fashioned look. So, or vintage, I guess is what I'd call it. So I'll go ahead and do this. Now, I am going to find a font color. So I'll show you my method. I'm going to go into the greens. I'm going to hit pretty close to the middle of the greens, and then I'm going to look on the lower side, which is going to be darker. I think I'm going to want to go all the way to the right because that's going to be your darkest. So yeah, I'm going to go somewhere in here. I mean, a nice green. I'm not too worried about it not matching my Christmas tree. I think it works pretty good that way. Oops. Didn't hit the done button. Always remember to hit the done button. And now it's saved. All right. Now I'm going to just duplicate this because I'm going to, well, no, I'm going to use a different font for this. So I'm going to go back into my fonts. Okay. This is something that can be more of that block style font. You're going to look at those. Oh, that's perfect. And this is where I was saying it's an easy way to personalize it just a little bit further. Is put it on the door of the pickup truck. And then you could put this kind of as a table marker for roads. So he knows where his seat is. We're going to go ahead and go with white. I think that's going to work better. Now, I happen to know what white is. So I always do that knowing that that's going to show up as white in there. And there we go. That is kind of my little coaster design. And we're going to hit print. Now I kept this on my same 4x4 canvas. You're going to see me adjust the size down a little bit. I want to make sure it fits on my coaster, so I'm going to go closer to 3x3. So as soon as that gets over there, I'll adjust that. Rhodes, we have any more questions?
Let's see here.
Or comments?
Actually, I was answering it in here, but I think everyone should hear this. Somebody asked that clacker fans are very popular right now, but there's currently not a template for them in the system. Is there a way that they can import that kind of template into the system? So
Yeah, of course.
You talk about that custom canvas option.
Yeah, well then, yeah, and there definitely is one within that. So you'll see me, and you see me doing a lot with VersaFlex. I'm making just squares that will fit because what I'm doing is going to be larger. Or what I'm going to print is going to be in a space that's larger. So in this case, like I said, I'm going to make this that 3x3. I actually didn't even adjust this down from the 10x10. So I'm going to take this design down, let's go 3.5 wide. Yeah, there we go. And you see this isn't really 3.5. I'm going to go ahead and crop the image area just so I can make sure that I'm getting my full area. And I think I'm going to go 3.5 wide. I think it's going to give me exactly what I want, but I'll check it when I get over there. So before we do that, let's go back into our custom canvas. So with your custom canvas, like I said, a lot of times I know I'm just designing a square or a rectangle that will fit on what I'm going on to. As I told you, I just use 8.5 by 11s for these on this table runner. If you have the template already, you can upload that. It does have to be an SVG file. So you do have to upload that SVG. But if you have one on your system for that, you could go ahead and upload that and have it. I know I have one, so hold on for me. Okay. So as you see, I just upload that SVG. Now, this is not where if you had an SVG as a file that you were going to upload, you upload. This is only using as a template because as you see, my entire shape is that shape. And it comes in at size, but you could always adjust that if you needed to. But if I were making a cloud-shaped magnet of this, I could just go ahead and do this and then just add a background and it would be set and ready to go. So if you do have that template of that fan, all you have to do is in custom canvas, you can upload it, or you can always do a square or rectangle that everything would fit within, and then you know you're safe there too. All right. There's my little file. I'm going to change my material to uncoated wood. Always like to go a little more vibrant, so I'm going to go vivid. And I am set. Let me go check my press. Now originally, I was actually going to use a different template. We did decide that we really like this kind of wood for this particular one with the bark on it. So we're going to do that. I know I'm going to have to adjust this up, so we'll go ahead and do that really fast. Now, wood does not need as much pressure as the cotton does. Fabric is going to have to be a very, very, very firm pressure. Wood is going to be more on the lighter side. And what I have recently found works for me is it needs to be a little bit difficult to close, but not a lot. So as you can see, I have a little bit of pressure there as I go down. Probably would maybe go another click. Yep, that's too heavy. So too much resistance closing it. So I'm going to go back to where I was. I think that'll work just fine. And I'm not going to knock my press over. All right. Just going to hit print and wait for that to come out. All right. Now, I always, when I do anything on wood, want to make sure that at least one side hangs off. So I'm going to cut this. Now, as you can see, I really eyeballed this. So I'm going to have to be very careful when I put this down to make sure that it fits where I want it to. I would not drop it down until I make sure it fits. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So one thing I can do is I can hold this over it and see if there's any letters cut off. I'm decently close, so I'm going to make this just a tad bit smaller and reprint it. Now, how could I avoid that? A ruler. I didn't use a ruler to measure my blank ahead of time. I kind of just eyeballed it, which is fine, but I want to make sure it fits well. So I'm going to go ahead and take that down about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. I would rather it be too small, so I'm going to go down to 3 just to be safe. There we go, and we'll go ahead and print that out. Alrighty. we'll go ahead. And like I said, I always leave a good margin on one side. Just makes it easier to remove it if it sticks off of the page. So we're gonna do that. We're ready to go. Okay, now I'm gonna center this. I can see enough of it that I know it looks great and is exactly where I want it to be. I'll drop that down. Put another piece of paper on top and we're ready to go. Now with the wood, I will wear gloves to remove that. I typically only use one glove with these. I tend to hold down with one hand and then pull with the other. As you know, it is a fast, hot peel, so you do want to get that off pretty quickly. It's also another reason why you don't want too much paper, because sometimes that film on the paper gets too hot and sticks down to your blowout paper underneath. So for me, I'd rather do it just a little bit of a smaller piece. Oh, could have went a little higher on the pressure. Or my wood is not flat, which could be the problem as well. But it's so cute, and I would just go ahead and do that on another slice that I have. But I don't think the pressure was right there. There goes my perfect record. Haven't messed up wood in a few weeks, so it does happen occasionally. I'm also not certain that this is completely flat, because you see towards the edge, this is nice and even, and then over here, right here is where the problem is. So with wood, that probably means that the wood isn't completely flat, that it does warp down right there. And that's probably what I was up against. I would increase the pressure just slightly and give it another try on another piece just to try it. But you can tell from this one how well that works when it works. So, oh well, didn't work on that one. But you see this one, how beautifully that turned out on the same wood. All right. So I'm hoping we inspired you today. I'm hoping we got you thinking about the holiday season and some things that you can make, whether it's for your own home, whether it's to give as gifts. I will tell you, one of the things I made today is my planned Christmas gift for my family this year. And then also, you may be selling. So whether you are making this to sell in a market, or whether you're working with an event planner, or you are an event planner to do customized party goods, all of these are some really great ideas for you, I hope. And I know there's some more out there. So if you have some suggestions that we missed, please feel free to comment on our YouTube channel of some things that you're planning to make this holiday season. Now tomorrow is every crafter's favorite thing to make during the holidays, and that's going to be ornaments. So we have a tree planned for you with plenty of ornaments of all different kinds, both sublimation and Versaflex. So please join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, or catch us later on in the recording. But Rhodes, are there any more questions before I go?
We are caught up on questions.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you have a great evening, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.